I got some discretion.
Hey, everyone. We are just going to give people a few minutes to come in, checking all the different levels and making sure we're good to go. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. Make sure Rumble
96% of your poll said I would wear a hoodie, but they were confused because they didn't know I was going with the Brandy and Billy show.
Yeah, Brandy and Billy are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're great. They got great merch too.
Did they ever end up going to see Ian? I know that was supposed to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I should have said that. Maybe that's a surprise. No, they didn't.
To be confirmed at a later date.
Yeah.
All right, see Rumble. Good to go. All right, we are live. All right, let's check this poll. 862 votes. Would Baron wear a hoodie or dress up? Would he dress up for this thing? 96% hoodie, but not sure what color. Did anyone guess the color correctly?
Who had Brandy and Billy show merch hoodie? You won.
All right, we are quickly getting to that number, so we'll start here in a second. And anyone that's joining, make sure you guys hit that like. That's what makes this go out. That's the only thing that YouTube likes.
Yeah, they give them. Man, when you figure out the algorithm, the show just gets pushed right on out. When you can't figure it out, people are like, I don't understand why no one will see me. I podcasted to friends and family only for a long time before I figured out the algorithm, and then all of a sudden it gets a lot easier.
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Everyone, we appreciate you being here. Obviously, it's lunchtime and some people are working and that kind of stuff, but this is Baron's day off. So he is giving us his attention and his time on his day off. So definitely give him a lot of love for that. But we're going to dive in deep into the heart of free speech with our esteemed guest, whose insights promise to challenge the status quo and inspire the future. Going from just a few dozen subscribers. When I first saw him, he only had a few dozen subscribers on YouTube to now he's basically at 200,000. He'll be there any day. And X, Rumble, Local, Spotify, he's kind of taken over everywhere and being featured on Candace Owens' podcast, which is viewed by millions. He was mentioned on Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore, if you're watching this, reach out to him, get a hold of him, get those things arranged, and becoming a household name. I give you Baron Coleman, ladies and gentlemen. Show him some love in the chat.
Appreciate you having me. It's been a lot of fun. They don't know how much fun we had before we went live.
Yeah.
This is like the second interview.
Baron got a suntan. Is that true?
No, Baron changed the lighting because Trigger has such fantastic lighting being a video professional. I was sitting over here in a cavern of doom. So I just changed the lighting a little bit. That's all.
And yes, unfortunately, Baron will not be live this evening. It's his day off.
Yeah, I mentioned that on the show yesterday. I was taking a day off. I have to have time for my family. And when you do a 3-hour podcast in the evening, that really takes away of your ability to, sit down, eat dinner, hang out on the couch, have some fun.
Which I have coined since a bearathon, because you're doing a 3-hour bearathon. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Quick housekeeping items. Make sure you hit the like and push this out. Subscribe here and on Real Baron Podcast. If you are not already subscribed, go check out Baron, and we'll have more information specific about that later as well. And any questions you want to ask, put them in the chat. And obviously, we give preference to super chats, but I will try and mix in some regular questions as well. And special thanks to channel members, Patreon, and moderators. And on my channel and Baron's both, this is something that's been happening, is if you think you're subscribed, make sure you double check, because about 50% of you that have checked, you were unsubscribed without knowing. So make sure you do that. All right.
I hear that a lot. I don't understand why that happens. I mean, that's got to be something intentional, I would assume.
I would hope not, but I've heard it from a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right. So what we'll do is I have a series of a bunch of different questions that kind of mix. Like this is going to be some personal stuff, some investigative stuff. We'll kind of be all over the place, but I'll try and keep it in somewhat of a good flow for you. So retiring from being a lawyer to going all in now. You've retired from lawyers, the lawyer life, I should say, and you did that for a long time. And now you're a full-time podcaster, meaning you support your family with this. What's harder, court arguments or YouTube trolls?
Well, YouTube X. I get a lot of that. and I never understood why Joe Rogan used to say, don't read the comments until I started getting more comments. And I was like, okay, I'll quit reading the comments. No, I mean, I enjoyed practicing law. I practiced, I did a lot of courtroom stuff, both on the civil and criminal side over the years. I worked at a bank. I worked at like an IT contractor. I worked at a healthcare data analytics firm. I mean, I've worked at a bunch of different places, and I really like broadcasting. I was a full-time broadcaster for 7 years. I had a daily 3-hour radio show for 6 years, and then did part-time fill-in radio work for 3 or 4 years on top of that. So I've been on the air a long time. Was on a TV show for 2 or 3 years, once a week. And so I've got a lot of broadcasting experience, and I really always loved it. And I always thought, man, if I could find a way to get back into it full time, I would. I always envisioned that would be through the radio. And I sort of just did the podcasting on Sunday nights just to stay sharp. And then it started taking off. So here I am.
So since you've like revealed your face and everything, and you're kind of out there, both audio and video, has that changed anything significantly, or do you feel like the same person talking on radio back then?
It's a little different. It's a little different having a camera in your face. I did, like I said, do a TV show, but it was a panel TV show. There were 4 of us on it. And it was just once a week, and it was an hour, or actually it was 30 minutes. I mean, it was a quick show. Maybe it was an hour. I can't remember. So it's a little different, but it has a radio feel. I produced my own radio show. Well, the first 6 months I didn't because I was learning the business. But after about 6 months, I started producing my own radio show, meaning I sat behind the controls, got us in and out of breaks, brought the music in and out. It was a talk radio show, and it's different because on a talk radio show, you're going 6 to 8 minute segments at a time, not 3 hours uninterrupted without being able to go to the restroom, without being able to take a break, stretch your legs. So, sitting in one spot, leaning forward because you want to look engaged, and I'm very animated. I don't know if you figured that out yet. I have a hard time sitting still. Yep. Candace's show was a nightmare because of that. I felt compelled to be super still that whole time. So, but on the radio, I really worked the mic. I was all over the place. I was very animated, and so it's trying to keep it a little calmer for the cameras. Been a different experience.
Well, let's pick up on that too. So walk us. So obviously, a lot of people are huge fans of Candace, right? From a lot of different angles. So walk us through your experience being on the Candace Owens podcast, and not only that, you were actually at her house. So did you have any pre-show jitters, fears? Like how was that experience?
It wasn't. No, she puts you at such ease. And we talked on the phone. We'd met in person for coffee. We've texted quite a bit. I honestly I felt bad after I walked in. I realized it. I saw him through the window, and I just walked in her front door, and I got in. I was like, well, but you get met by armed security in the driveway. So I didn't feel like they didn't think I was breaking in. But I just walk in the front. I looked through the door. I was about to knock on the door, and I saw they were sitting there, and I was like, I'll just walk in. So I walked in, and they didn't even break. Like, they're sitting there prepping for the show. It was 2 or 3 hours before the show started. I can't remember which. And they just kind of looked up like, hey, grab a seat. So she is so easy to talk to. She is so exactly who she is in real life. And I had a good friend of mine from politics who's been around politics a long time. He called me the other day. I hadn't talked to him in a while. And he said, what's she like in person? And I said, dude, she is so much smarter than you think she is. Like, she is so much smarter than you think she is.
She's holding back.
I think she lulls people in with this, she'll say something that sounds pretty crazy every now and then, but it's like half of what she knows. And then she gets people to respond, and then just, it has the rest of it should they take the bait. And it's really sharp. I mean, she is something. She is something.
Trap is set.
Yeah, I saw Brandy and Billy in the chat. I got your hoodie on, girls.
And if you guys aren't already following Brandy and Billy, make sure you go over and show them some love. It's Brandy and Billy Show, and they are on YouTube and X and Instagram and TikTok, I believe.
They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
They're all over the country, too. They travel for stories. They're not like me.
Yeah, they're in the field for sure. So dropping law for podcasts, how is your support system for this new adventure you are building? I know you mentioned like maybe your sister would be joining you. Did you want to update some people on like kind of what's to come as far as that goes?
Yeah. So I obviously did everything myself because I didn't have the means to pay anybody. And it just grew out of control. Like, my email inbox is completely out of control. I have to have full-time help just to tangle that. Responding, I have to have some help. And so I was talking to her. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for 30 years or so, maybe more than that. and she's brilliant. She's very funny. She's very smart, and she can do anything she puts her mind to. Great genes. She's got, no, I'm just kidding. But so she was talking to me, and I said, I hate to be forward, but how much do you make? Can I afford to hire you? And so we came to an agreement. I couldn't afford to hire her, but we came to an agreement where she could leave her job and come work for me full time. And that is going to take so much pressure off of me, because right now I'm spending hours a day on the administrative side, and it does take a lot of time on the administrative side, taking care of everything. She can now handle all that, and I will be able to focus more on just content creation, writing. My opens take a long time to write. They are
not
some
AI.
of them are, no, some of them are upwards of 6 or 8 hours of writing. Now I do use tools to fact find,
Yeah, research.
Yeah, I mean, I'll like I'll look and say, what was the date of Dale Earnhardt's crash, from last night, and so I'll use some tools to scrape some data, but the actual writing, I enjoy writing. My computer, if I ever die and they dig into my Dropbox, I've got a lot of stuff written in there that I've written over the years. Fiction stories, nonfiction stories, just bios of people that I meet, and I don't know, I'm weird like that. I like to write. I've always liked to write. And so it is a writing outlet. It's a creative writing outlet on a daily basis, or 3 or 4 days a week. And so I do spend time to write. And the shorter ones are 2 or 3 hours. The longer ones can take, the more fact-based ones can take upwards of 5, 6, 8 hours. And so that will give me more time to do that kind of stuff, instead of rushing around to the last second to put a show on the air at 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
When I think a lot of people don't realize how much work goes into being a creator. So like people see these live streams that go 3 hours, and you tell them, maybe you write 3 to 5 hours or something a day, but they don't see the time watching other stuff, researching other people, watching other podcasters to get more information, being on X, it's almost like a 24/7 thing when you're not sleeping. It's a lot more work than people think.
It is. And how many rabbit trails I run down that don't make it to the air because they end up dead ends. And so how many people I've dug into and spent dozens of hours scouring through their lives to realize there's nothing to this guy.
Nothing there.
Like, I can't go forward with this. This guy's clean as a whistle. And that time is just lost. I mean, I have a better understanding of who that person is, but it's of really no value. And so that happens. Flights, locations, I dig through tax information. I'll dig through formation documents, FAR registrations, and you get to the bottom and you just realize there's nothing to this. And so I've just wasted 12 hours of my life that I can't put on air. There's nothing reportable here. And I'm not going to just go with something just to go with something. If it doesn't add value to what I'm covering, then I'm not going to bring it up.
Well, like you said too, a big part of your integrity is you said that even if you put a show together that has some stuff, if you don't think it's a good show for the audience, you won't even waste your time doing it. And I think that's a huge difference from a lot of other people who will do a show just to do a show. And you're like,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a commitment I've made. I commit to doing 4 shows a week, but I commit to doing 4 well-produced, well-informed, entertaining shows. And if I can't come up with 4 one week, I'm doing 3. I'm not going to just come on air and waste people's time. You know why? Because I'm a consumer of for years I was a consumer of talk radio, like back to high school and college. And then I did talk radio, and I was a consumer of talk radio. And then when the podcasting medium came around about 15 years ago, it started to become popular. I consumed a voracious consumer of podcasts, and I would get done with someone's podcast, even if it was just 30 minutes. If it was a waste of time, I was so mad. I thought, I can't get that time back. And I'm not doing that to somebody. If I feel like I'm going to waste your time, I'm not doing it.
So on your podcast, we know there's a lot of conspiracies that go around, especially around Charlie Kirk. So what is the silliest conspiracy that you've debunked or that made you laugh out loud? For me, it was the hologram.
The whole Charlie's still alive. I just refuse to buy that. I know that there's probably 10% of the people following the Charlie Kirk investigation that just committed to that position, but I refuse to buy that. The next silliest one was the guy in the white shirt shaking his hands like this. Now, I'm not ruled out that guy is involved in some way, because it looked like he went to do it and then he timed it. Do what?
You talking about the phone pistol that like folds open? Is that?
Yeah, the guy that's saying
right.
He shot him. Yeah, he was on Charlie's 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock over here to the right. And no one's going to shoot anybody like this. You're not going to hit anything. You're a gun guy. No one would fire a pistol that way. And if you did, you wouldn't be accurate enough to hit something. Plus, I've seen the video from behind. He didn't get hit from behind. I can assure you that. And
well, same with Rick Cutler, right? Like Rick Cutler, doing like a palm pistol, shooting at an awkward angle from down below from his arm.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if you could hit Charlie's whole body, let alone in his neck or his head.
But I will say the guy in the white T-shirt that they said was the cell phone pistol, he looked like he was about to do the shake the first time and looked over at Dan Flood and timed it with Dan Flood doing this. So I've not ruled out that guy has some sort of a timing connection. Because the first time he did it was when Dan Flood went to touch his arm, and the second time is when the bang happened. And so I've not ruled out a timing thing. And the same thing with Rick Cutler on his sleeve. That's not a palm pistol, but I've not ruled out that there wasn't something going on that sleeve. I don't know what that could have been.
Something synchronized. Interesting.
But it wasn't a palm pistol. There's no way.
And yeah, I mean, the hologram thing, obviously you see like the Michael Jackson in Vegas thing, he's moonwalking across the stage, but it's a very controlled environment. And it usually has to be pretty dark, and it's only from one angle. If you were beside him, you wouldn't be able to see him. You can only see him from the front. So to me, there's no way that could happen. Let's see.
Not only that, he walked around throwing out hats beforehand. I mean, holograms don't throw hats. Sorry.
Well, and holograms need something to project against.
Yeah.
And then you have Rick Cutler jumping over the table. He didn't knock down glass or anything else, so it just doesn't fit. So you went from Alabama radio to Tennessee podcasts. And obviously we've seen, you did this new audio and video setup. Yeah. You had a couple blurry days, but you got to figure it out. Now you're all crispy, right? You're in HD. So what's the worst technology fail that you had in radio?
Oh, in radio? So one day we lost our ability to go to break. It was the first time I'd ever had to do 3 hours uninterrupted. The computer would not let us go to a break. And so we couldn't take calls either. And I over-prepared on radio, just like I over-prepare a lot of times on a podcast. Like last night I had to cut some material because it just got too long. And because I try to structure everything in my head. It's about a 5-minute intro. It's a 12 to 20-minute opening. And then I like to take the content to an hour and a half mark and then do super chats. And it kind of breaks it up into three different components. I did the same thing on radio. And if it would get too long, I would just take a stack of papers out with me that I didn't cover that day, and maybe I'd throw them out. Maybe I'd cover them the next day. But one day on radio, the computer went down. We were on Windows XP, believe it or not. Yeah, and they'd stopped supporting it, and so the XP crashes, and we're stuck on air. And it happened right when I got on air at 9:00 in the morning. I couldn't even take the first news break, and so I was like, "All right, we're live, and we're gonna stay live." And we stayed live for 3 hours, and that means no bathroom break. And like I plan accordingly now because I know I can't get up for 3 hours. But when you're on radio and you think, okay, I go on at 9:06, my first break's at 9:14, I'll just run down to the bathroom if I need to. And then I know I've got to break it at 9:22 and 9:30 and 9:41 and 9:52. So I knew all my breaks lined up because they were pretty hard breaks, most of them. And when your ability to go to break when you've set your life up 6 to 8 minutes at a time goes away, that was a pretty bad fail. One time we were covering a former governor who sort of still ran everything in the state. And right as we were I was putting a story together, right as we were getting to the most damning part, our tower crashed. Like the tower shut out, which means yeah. So we were still streaming live, but only 100, 200 people would listen to the stream on a smartphone. Everybody else, thousands of people listening over the air, and they crashed. And everyone was like, oh no, the governor's up there pulling the plug on the tower. So yeah, just technology is part of it, particularly in radio. That's an old terrestrial medium that's very high tech, and there are very few radio engineers still on Earth. That is a dying breed.
And most of them have gone fully digital, even the ones that still are.
Yeah.
So as a former lawyer turned investigator, what's the most surprising overlap between your legal research that you used to do, which was very in-depth, you had to make sure everything was perfect because you had to be within the confines of the law, whereas now you have a little bit more freedom. So how does that kind of transfer over into doing the research you do now towards these conspiracy theories and the Charlie Kirk case, for example? So in law, you're bound by the rules of evidence. If it's in a military, I did military trials a lot. So you're bound by the UCMJ. If you, the federal rules of evidence in federal court, the
Tennessee rules of evidence or the Alabama rules of evidence in state court or Florida. I'm licensed in Florida, Alabama, and Tennessee. I've lived in all 3 states practicing law. So, you're bound by the rules of evidence. So if you want to get a document in, for example, you've got to lay the proper predicate. You've got to lay a foundation. You have to know how to do the give and take with the witness to get the judge to allow the document to be either seen by the witness or seen by the jury. I don't have that now. Like, I can just throw documents up whenever I want. And that is a really nice piece of freedom. So that's probably the biggest difference. I mean, the investigatory mind is still the same. I still try to hold myself to some sort of a universal standard, even though it's not required in podcasting. Obviously, I don't want to enter into defamation. Certainly, because it's wrong or could get me sued, but because I don't want to be wrong. I don't like being wrong. Now that happens. You're sometimes going to go down a path, and someone's going to call you or text, and it's happened. I won't say when, but astute listeners will probably be able to figure it out, where I had to actually correct and say, nope, I was wrong on this one. I'll tell you, I got a call from an AP reporter who was like, I was in the Oval Office with JD Vance when you said he was on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, I didn't say he was on the plane. I said, I thought he was on the plane. She's like, well, I can assure you he wasn't. And so, but I did. I came on the next day and said, hey, I saw video of him in the office. Like, it's possible that I was lied to, but at least I'm telling you, I saw the video, and it was presented to me as footage that was recorded of him in the office at this particular time. And I tend to believe it. So I'm willing to make a correction. And that's why I am kind of miffed really with TPUSA's approach, where they're sending out letters to Wolves in Finance or sending out letters to Candace. I think most people are like me. I think you're probably that way. If you said something that turned out to be wrong and TPUSA sent you evidence of that, why would you not correct it? Why would you want to mislead someone? That's dishonest. And I don't want to be dishonest.
Well, and we know there's a group of people that they do it obviously just for the money, just for the clicks, just for the views, just for the recognition and that kind of stuff. And they kind of just, honestly, they just pull it out of their ass, right? But yeah, 100%. If I say something and it's incorrect, I will correct it because that's the correct thing to do. I don't want to mislead people, and I don't want to spread misinformation.
Yeah.
Now, this next question is kind of interesting. You kind of answered it the other night when you said that you liked a certain era of Charlie. But if you could time travel, what moment in the Charlie Kirk saga would you witness firsthand?
That's both time travel and location travel, because I would have to get in the room. I would love to be at the Candlewood Suites September 8th and 9th, sitting in the lobby. And in Sierra Vista, Arizona. I would love to sit in the lobby at the Candlewood Suites that time.
So, a quick follow-up on that. A lot of people have asked, do you have any follow-up on the possible viewing of a beautiful woman wearing certain clothes with blue eyes in that location?
Patience, dear wife. Patience. We're on day 33 of her not providing an alibi. There's a reason for that. Allegedly not providing an alibi. Not that I've seen. Yeah.
Now this one's interesting. I know you've talked about a few people already. I think JFK was one of them. But if you could interview literally any historical figure in the world at any time period, who would it be?
William Joseph Casey. He was the CIA director under Ronald Reagan. I'm fascinated with the man. I actually named a child after him. I give away one of my kids' names. I think Bill Casey is perhaps one of the more fascinating unknown. I don't say unknown because a lot of people know who he is, but one of the most fascinating stories in American history. He is a self-made man. He went into the publishing business. He really wanted to be Secretary of State. He helped Reagan win in '80 so that he would be Secretary of State. And they stuck him at CIA, and he was kind of pissed off about it. But he became one of the most effective CIA directors of all time. I would love to interview him because he sort of, I think, if I had to guess, he spawned the Iran-Contra affair. He was very involved in what was happening in Nicaragua at the time. And I have a lot of questions that, if I could put truth serum in them, I have a lot of questions about, the cocaine shipments into the United States in the 80s, because I think it wrecked our country. I think it's beyond dispute it came from the United States government. I would want to know to what extent he was aware of it and maybe even participated in it or constructed it. I'm not saying he did. I've gone from viewing him as a hero to viewing him as somebody, almost a tragic figure. and I've not yet gotten to the villain stage, but I might head that way one day. And if I could interview him, maybe I would conclude he's a villain. But for a long time, he was a hero because I looked at this guy. I was like, man, he did whatever it took to keep communism out of the Western Hemisphere, at least out of the North America, Central America area. And so I looked at him as this just unbelievable hero. Joseph Persico wrote a great book on him called Casey. Anybody looking for a book to read is phenomenal. Great biography. I like biographies a lot. He would probably be one person I would love to go back and interview in his prime, like 1985, 86, right in the thick of all of it, and ask him what he knew about what was going on. Because I think it's fundamentally changed the nature of the United States, everything that took place back then.
Yeah, I think things were a lot different back then. There were a lot less eyes. They got away with a lot more, it seemed like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, without people knowing. People know things now that they still got away with, but yeah. we won't go into that.
Right.
So what's the craziest listener email or comment you've received since starting the podcast? Besides Joe.
Yeah. Joe's
Joe's classic.
I get a lot of them. I get a lot of emails from people that, I don't respond to, but they're kind of wild. And I really wonder, are they okay? Like, are these people in touch with reality? And I'm not confident they are. I'm not confident all of them are. I don't want to betray any confidences, but I get stuff where people claim to have seen things, and then I think they couldn't possibly have seen it, so I'm not gonna respond to it. I think some people just want to insert themselves in a story, and that happens a lot, unfortunately.
Well, I think some people are very convinced on what they think they saw, and they keep running with it, even if there's something contrary in the evidence.
Yeah,
and I see that a lot.
Yeah, I had a great evidence professor in law school, my second year of law school. Her name was Aviva Orenstein, and she was brilliant. She was so smart, funny, lovable character. I think she still teaches at IU. I think she's still a professor, an evidence professor there. But she obviously would be 20 years older, 25 years older now, however long ago I was there. But she did something to us that I was not expecting. There's 150 or so people in this class. It's one of those huge stadium style classrooms. And right in the middle of class, some dude burst open the doors. It's like one of those rooms where there's 4 sets of double doors to get in. It's that kind of an auditorium. And he burst through the doors and they start screaming at each other in this random language. And I'm like, oh my gosh. They were screaming, pointing, yelling, and then she threw a bunch of papers at him and then he turned around and ran off. And she was like, oh my gosh, everybody take out a sheet of paper right now. Write down everything you just saw. We might need to record this. Write it down. And so I'm like dutiful. I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm writing. And then she showed us a video of what happened.
What happened? Yeah.
Nobody was right. And her purpose was eyewitness testimony generally sucks. And we put so much value on it. You put somebody in the dock in a trial and they say they saw it. The jury's like, oh, that must be exactly what happened. Why would they lie about it? They're not lying. They're wrong. And that happens a lot. Unfortunately, people are just wrong, especially in a traumatic experience. You see someone get shot and killed. You see somebody get stabbed. You see somebody yelling and fighting. And then, even the angle of the video often is often misleading. So I think a lot of my emails are people who claim to have been certain places or seen certain things. Sometimes that's the problem. They're bringing preconceived notions and biases. She asked us what language were they speaking. What there were like 25 different answers. People like, oh, I speak Dutch. I know that was Dutch. And they're like, she's like, how would I know Dutch? I'm a little Jewish woman from Brooklyn. So,
well, it's also interesting too. I've heard, and maybe you can confirm this. People have a certain story of what they think they saw when something happens, especially traumatic, and over time, their story will actually change from the same person. Yep. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah. It evolves, and sometimes they don't even realize it's happening. They go back and watch a video of themselves describing it, and that person's like, sorry, I didn't realize my story had changed so much.
So as we know, at some point, the Charlie Kirk case will be closed. Maybe, right? Maybe it'll be another MLK or JFK, but a lot of eyes on it. but eventually it will probably slow down as far as social media and stuff goes in the podcast. So what are the types of like topics and events do you plan to cover on your podcast in the future? Is there anything that you have that's kind of on the horizon?
Yeah, I can always look back. I mean, there's a lot of events that I've talked about or thought about covering, past events. I think I'm gonna have Roger Stone on this week. He reached out and wants to come on and talk about the JFK book he wrote. It's phenomenal.
That'll be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, JFK's evergreen. I mean, that was 62 years ago, and we still don't know what happened. So that's evergreen. You could always bring that up anytime, but I want to do it on a schedule that works for him. So that's one that I want to, like, a show I want to do. I don't want to spend months or whatever doing that. But there's always something, like when the Vegas shooting happened, we never got resolution on that.
Yeah.
That had I been on the air at that time, I would have. Actually, I was on the air on the radio, but not on podcast. Somewhere in the radio archives of that radio station, they have recordings of dozens of hours of me talking about Vegas, like I'm doing with Charlie Kirk now. And so there's always going to be something to talk about. This is obviously a concern for me. It's a huge concern for me because I think if a national treasure can be taken down under mysterious circumstances and they tell us all to just go away, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Nobody's safe. I mean, if you get invited to speak somewhere, you're not safe if they can just kill people and walk away and act like everything's fine. And the more I put this timeline together, Daisy May's helping me put the timeline together in the background. She's a great listener.
She's great.
And, yeah, she's phenomenal. And she's helped me put this timeline together. And as we add stuff to the timeline and I start looking at it, I'm thinking, there's no way this is Tyler Robinson. No way. There's too much going on that all points to the same thing happening to this guy.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people are leaning in that direction, but I want them to get into the trials, not the pre-trials, and they're kind of dragging it out. But I think that's somewhat expected, right? Trying to buy time. But
criminal trials take a long time to put together. They're theater, and so everything has to be done ahead of time. Everything has to be decided. We don't want to. Once we start the trial, we're not. This is a little inside baseball, and it sort of destroys every TV show and every movie you've ever watched about a courtroom drama. But very little is decided at trial. Almost everything is decided ahead of time. What comes in, what you're allowed to say, what words you can use. And it takes a long time to get all that worked out pre-trial. What experts can come in, what they're allowed to say, all that.
So for everyone that's watching, make sure you hit that like, and make sure if you're not already subscribed to Baron, make sure you go over to Real Baron Podcast, basically on every social media. Are you on Instagram and TikTok yet or no?
I have a Real Baron Podcast Instagram. I've done nothing with it, but I did reserve it. And I just reserved a Baron Coleman on Upscroll just so no one else would steal my name.
I heard about that yesterday, that app.
Yeah.
Kind of like the new TikTok. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys. Are you following this ICE stuff at all?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife just texted me. Now, she is not a conspiracy theorist. My son ate ice. Earlier today, there was just ice in his poop.
And we're talking about ICE outside, not the Border Patrol, ICE, FBI.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
So ice is not normal, whatever's going on out there. I told you I had to go to the gym at noon. So and we left about 11 to go, 11:10. I think 11:10 exactly. I walked out the door. I took a big old chunk of ice from outside and I put it on a plate. It was still there when I got back after 1:00. That's not normal.
Well, and there's also a video of someone melting it, right? They're holding it up and they're trying to burn it, and it's just scorching black. It's not melting.
Yeah, that ice, there's something weird. I don't know if there was something in the atmosphere that ice, the water particles clung to, and it was kind of like it's serving as sort of an antifreeze or something, but that's not normal. Your kid should not have ice in his poop. Like, it should have melted long before. Something weird's going on.
Now, they saw something similar to that. I think there was floods, was it in Texas, when the kids got flooded out?
Yeah,
and the guy who actually seeded, he's the one that actually does the cloud seeding. He had a company that does cloud seeding.
Yeah.
He said that they dropped these particles out, and then people would actually see like blue balls all over the ground. So, yeah. So maybe it wasn't natural. Possibility.
Yeah, that's weird. I gotta talk to her when we get off the air. I need to find out about the ice poop.
You need to go to the ER or anything? Are you good?
No, he'll be fine. No. He's a tough little kid. He's only 5. They're resilient at that age.
So now, if you were not podcasting, what career might have you pursued? So obviously you did law.
I would stay in law. It paid well. No, I enjoyed practicing law. I enjoyed what I did. So what I did at the company where I was the general counsel, but I was also the EVP of legal and operations. So I kind of was over the whole operation side, and I really enjoyed that. I had a really great job. I mean, I really, really enjoyed my job, but it was becoming where I would be at work all day and all I was thinking about is producing content for the show. I was thinking of things I wanted to talk about. I was, crafting the opening in my head while I was supposed to be working. And I was like, I can't just justify pulling up a sheet and start writing in the middle. I'm on the clock, I'm not going to steal from the company. But then I would get off and I would immediately start writing for the next day's show. And I would stay up till 11, 12 o'clock working on the show. And then I would wake up at, 5, and it was just wearing me out. So I would have stayed practicing law. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I would have ever gone back to like a trial firm, but being in-house, I really enjoyed being an in-house lawyer. I liked it a lot.
What about CrossFit instructor?
I do that. I coach CrossFit classes. That's what I was doing at noon. I was coaching today.
Can you do a muscle up?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. You want to see it? I'll record one and send it to you. How about that? No, I enjoyed that. Like we were doing some deadlifting today, and there was a new guy, and it was fun to get his feet in the right position, get his hips at the right height, get the right bend in his knees, make sure the weight is over the midfoot, make sure he's pushing away from the floor, not pulling with his back, make sure his neck's in a neutral position. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the technical aspect of CrossFit, and obviously staying fit is critical. You're on a continuum. You're somewhere. We talk about the autism spectrum. Well, there's a fitness spectrum too.
Yeah.
If you're at 1, you're almost dead. If you're at 99, you got good blood pressure, blood sugar, you're fit, everything's great. The closer you could get to 99, the longer the better your life is going to be, the higher quality your life is going to be. You're not going to be in pain all the time. You're not going to, your back's not going to hurt. Your hips aren't going to hurt. You're not going to, struggle to stand up out of a chair. You're going to have plenty of leg muscle to keep you mobile well into your later years. And so I encourage people to get fit. It's important. It's an important part of, your body is not a Ferrari. A Ferrari gets more valuable sitting around in a garage doing nothing. And your body sitting around on a couch doing nothing is just dying. That's all it's doing, is dying in slow motion. So you need to push your body to the absolute max several days a week, 2, 3, 4 days a week. And you'll be better off for it.
Yeah, I've heard some studies about muscle mass in your legs can decide how long you live as you get into your elderly years, I guess. So
Yeah,
anyone,
go ahead. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Yeah. So apparently, like if you're 40 plus, especially if you're 50 plus, if you can keep your legs strong and your grip strong, then that will actually make your blood pressure lower and increase your lifespan in theory, right?
So my thought on that is, as long as you're using your legs, like if you're squatting below parallel, not just, getting to a chair that is, where your hips are below your knees. If you can get down into that position and stand up with no hands, just stand up out of your chair, with no hands. And you can do that say you're in your 60s or 70s. If you can do that 20 times in a row, you're probably going to be independent for quite a while. When you're 30, 40, 50, and your body's going through those hormonal changes that we all experience at this age. I'm 46 years old. I'm no exception to that. The more you can squat, the more pressure you put through your legs, the more your body goes, oh, we're still alive? Well, let me pump out hormones like we're still alive. And your hormone profile will look a lot more like a 25-year-old than a 45-year-old. But if you're just sitting around all day, your body's like, oh, we're dying? I'll give you hormones for death, and all of a sudden you're 45, but your hormone profile looks like you're 65. Yeah. All your plumbing doesn't work. All your blood pressure's all screwed up. And so, yeah, work your body, people, work your body.
And that can boost your HGH a lot too, as well, right?
Yeah. All your hormones. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people too, like I have brothers, they're already taking TRT and they're in their 40s. That seems early to me, but, we have a lot of estrogen in our environment, so maybe that's part of it. So this is a member question from one of my members. So obviously you do a lot of investigation. What's your go-to method for verifying your sources during the investigation? Do you have any lawyer tricks that you can share with the audience?
Verifying your sources. Obviously, if you can get a source document, that's pretty bulletproof. Like if you can get a corporate document from the state filing and not just look at something floating around on X, go verify it yourself. So any source document you can verify. If you're talking to someone, try to get some verification out of that person. That helps as well. So don't just take someone's word for it, but look for photographic evidence, video, audio. That's getting a little more difficult as AI advances and becomes pretty fancy. But there's no real trick to it. It's curiosity. Why is someone qualified to be an investigator? They're intellectually curious. They genuinely. My dog may start barking. Someone's knocking on my door. They're genuinely curious. They want to know the answer, and they think this is why I like Brandy and Billy so much. They are very good at saying, who should we talk to? And they'll pick up the phone and call people, like random people.
And people's family and everything.
Yeah. Like when I was trying, I'll give a little secret away on the Charlie Kirk investigation. When I was trying to figure out if the doctor was in on it, or if the doctor really said that about the surgeon Superman neck. Yeah, the surgeon.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people that know that guy. I mean, a lot. And I concluded very quickly, he never said that.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure who Candace spoke to, but I think she said something similar as well.
I know who she spoke to.
So
I
in your humble,
I would believe her.
Yeah. So in your humble opinion, what is your, because everyone's going to ask this, right? This is probably in the questions that are coming up. In your humble opinion, what's your current theory, or what threads have kept your attention around the Charlie Kirk case? So we've seen several different theories. I think a lot of people agree that it might have not have been a bullet, right? So what's your current theory, or what's the closest thing to what you're kind of leaning towards, if anything?
No, I am leaning towards. So I back up and start more globally. Is there evidence that Charlie Kirk was going to survive September 10th? And if there's evidence he was not going to survive September 10th, then what was happening? Who would be able to ensure he wasn't going to survive? And the first thing I looked at was we had a leak that confirmed beyond, in my opinion, very confidently confirmed. It's in my opinion, based on documentation I reviewed, that Brian Harpole, who was the lead security contractor for Charlie Kirk, did not have plans to leave Salt Lake City. Yeah. He had a flight into Salt Lake City. From what I was told and what I was able to review. Now, granted, there may be other things I didn't see, and I'm willing to make that correction. And I've offered this to him. If he will show me evidence that this is incorrect, I'll be happy to correct it. But I've seen evidence that he did not have plans to leave Salt Lake City. There was no return flight back to DFW, nor was there a flight to Colorado the next day where Charlie Kirk was expected to speak, nor was there a flight at all to any event, which, based on the documentation I reviewed, was inconsistent with Harpole's pattern. So if you always book your flights 10 to 15 to 20 days ahead of time or more, and now you have 2, 3, 4 events within that time window immediately after UVU, but you didn't book any flights, you weren't planning on going. That was my conclusion. Now, if you weren't planning on going, you probably had a good idea he wasn't walking out of there. If you had a good idea he wasn't walking out of there, it wasn't Tyler Robinson from the Losi Center with a 30-06 from his grandpappy. And so I sort of back my way into that more than looking at the wound and suggesting the trajectory doesn't work, or looking at the mass of the bullet or the speed of the bullet as it arrives to the target and the energy transfer from the projectile into the body. I'm not even looking at all that at that point. I'm looking at, hey, guys on his team didn't have travel arrangements. That's problematic. Now, if they did have travel arrangements and my source just didn't give me complete information, then I will make that correction.
Yeah. Because
I'm only going on based on what I've seen. And if he provides additional evidence, then I'll be happy to correct that. Just like I did with the SAM 000 flight from Camp Springs to Colorado Springs. I'll be happy to correct that. So I look at that and then I say, okay, well, if it wasn't Tyler Robinson, what was it? And how could someone be so sure? You wouldn't, just like we were talking before we came on, you don't go live on a podcast without backups, right? You got a backup camera, you got a backup mic, you got a backup soundboard, you got a backup docking station, you got backup monitors, everything's backed up. You wouldn't get on an airplane where if the engine failed, you're going to die. There's all airplane systems are in duplicate and triplicate, right? If it's a critical system and it goes down, there's a backup because you're in the air. You can't just pull over on the side of the road. You crash, you die. And airplanes typically don't fall out of the sky. I mean, it's the safest mode of travel by far. So if when I look at that, I think you wouldn't just pin it on one potential opportunity to kill him. You would have it in duplicate and triplicate. And so that's when I look at things like electrocution, or I look at things like an exploding microphone, or I look at things like potentially a manually broken neck, which I think is very much a possibility based on the injuries that were documented or that we were told were documented.
Yeah.
So I look at this and think, well, maybe they did 2 or 3 or 4 different things to make sure he was dead. Was he tased? Was something injected into him? We did see a hypodermic needle right before he went down. There's just so many possibilities. And if you knew he wasn't going to leave, you would not leave it up to a 20-year-old kid on a roof 140 yards away. That just wouldn't happen.
And yeah, I agree. Even regardless of training, you can take someone who's highly trained and put them in that situation, they could still miss. So why would you chance that?
Right. So I just don't. I mean, that's got my current operating theories. There's multiple causes of death, any one of which may have been able to kill him, all of which together were guaranteed to kill him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like that approach, though. Like starting from the top, like why would it happen? Who would do it? Who benefits from it? All those type of things, and then work your way down to what actually happened, which we may never know, right?
Hopefully we will.
Hopefully. So how has your faith influenced your decision to pursue truth-seeking in your podcasting? I know you've mentioned faith a few times.
Yeah. I went to mass this morning. We take our faith very seriously in this house. Doesn't mean we've lived perfect lives, made mistakes in my life, obviously. But we do try to be serious about it and take it seriously. And I guess my faith influences it in that I'm not going to BS people and lie to them just to, like you said earlier, just to run a show or just to get clicks or say something outrageous just for the sake of saying it. If I say something, I believe it. Like I believe everything I've gone with so far that at least, and I'll tell people if I believe it 100% is the cause or 100% happened, or if I'm holding back, like I'm pretty confident he didn't have plane tickets out of there, but I'm not going to say he didn't because maybe he used a different airline. Maybe he booked through somebody that wasn't an employee of his. Maybe there could have been any number of ways that there were plane tickets I haven't found. And I'm willing to correct that. But I will say this, the person I talked to was pretty confident he didn't have plane tickets out of there and plane tickets anywhere else afterwards.
Now, this is an interesting one because I've heard this many times. How do you respond to claims from people that independent podcasters like us are just chasing money and that we're just making things up to put on a good show?
Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Show where I've gone astray. Because as long as I'm telling the truth, then fine. Then people are justified to tune in and listen. I'm justified to keep saying what I'm saying. Prove me wrong. If you believe that I'm just over here making stuff up, show me that they weren't at Fort Huachuca. Show me he had a flight planned after September 10th. Yeah. These are easy things to show me. Show me more pictures from the SUV. Show me more pictures from in and around there. Go ahead and release the full video footage from behind him. I mean, they could put all this to bed instantly. Show me the video of the guy getting in position and taking the shot. This is not a normal investigation. All the time. You know how many times a law enforcement agency releases body cam footage to quell the public? It's not normal, but it happens. In an officer-involved shooting, a lot of times they will release the body cam footage because there are riots forming and the public safety is in jeopardy. And they say, hey, we will compromise the investigation in order to satisfy the public that everything's on the up and up. So they obviously could do it. And it's not normal, but they could do it. They could release the autopsy report. It's not mean, Erica Kirk could release it tomorrow. She owns it essentially.
Well,
autopsy photos. There's so many ways you could prove us wrong.
One like Mangione, right? He shot the CEO and
Yeah.
they released it. Everyone's seen it. So why can't they release Tyler taking the shot? Why not?
Yeah. I mean, we watched that guy get shot in the back 1,000 times in 2 days, right? It was obvious somebody did, whether it was Luigi or whether it was a lookalike. I don't know. I mean, that's up to them. They'll have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt it was him. But I did think that was odd that he was, and I actually commented on my podcast long before you guys ever found me. I thought it was odd that he was found in a McDonald's 7 states away, but he forgot to get rid of the gun. He forgot to get rid of the manifesto. He forgot to get rid of the written confession. Now, he could have made it very difficult on the police, and he didn't. He did everything in his possible to make it easy. So
this is I want to give people some like a glance into kind of your daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
So on a typical day, you're setting up for a Real Baron podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to do your research. You're starting to write. You're trying to, you start getting into that mode. How does that day look? Like, what's going through your head when you're preparing for something like this? Because I don't know if a lot of people realize, if you're not already subscribed, he'll have 20, 25,000 people watching. So when you have that many people and you have that many eyes on you, you have to come out with something that's legit, and you have to be able to perform and that kind of stuff and be consistent and have integrity and everything else. And you've done it over and over again. So how do you prepare for that?
So my day is pretty consistent. It always has been. I'm not necessarily a creature of habit as much as some people are on their day. Now, my hours have shifted a little bit. I used to wake up around 5, and now I'm waking up around 7 just because I'm going to bed later. Like you probably get the same thing, a giant adrenaline dump as soon as you get off the air. Your adrenaline's been rolling this entire time, and then you get off the air, and it's like, you get this dump. Sometimes I don't get off the air till 10 or 10:30, and I can't. And then you got post-production, right? You got to do some trimming. You got to get it up. You got to, upload it to other platforms. You've got to, do all your post-production stuff. You got to add chapters and all that. And so that takes 30 minutes or an hour. So by the time you get done, it might be 11:30 before you're even ready to go to bed. I like to get clean before I go to bed. So then you got to take a shower. That wakes you up a little bit. So I may not get into bed until 11:30 to 12:30, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning. I can't wake up at 4 anymore like I used to. So I will wake up at 7-ish, 7:30 some days, which seems so lazy to me, but it's becoming a new habit. I don't drink coffee for 2 hours when I get up because I think it's terrible for you. So I try to hold off as long as I can. Let all those sleep chemicals get out of your body before you have the first cup of coffee. This is actually only my second cup of coffee right here today, and it's already 3 o'clock. And so I will kick into my office and make sure everything's still rolling from the night before. If I did a show the night before, make sure everything's still up. YouTube hadn't complained about anything, which sometimes they do.
Yeah.
And you got to argue with them the next day. Hate that. But make sure everything's still up and running. Make sure Spotify's up and running. Rumble's still up and running. And then I'll start thinking about, usually I have 8 or 10 stories or 8 or 10 things that I'm running down in my head, and I'll think, which ones should I cover today? And then I'll start playing some podcasts in the background while I do some research, and I'll listen to you. I'll listen to Coach. I'll listen to, Ian, if he's done a show. I'll listen to Jesse, Valhalla sometimes, if he looks like he's covering something. So I will, I'll go through it and listen to a few people while I'm doing some research, and then I'll start writing. Usually around 9:30 or 10 in the morning, sometimes 10:30, I'll start writing. And I usually start with the first sentence. I don't know what it is I want to do, but I'll start with the first sentence. And once I get that first sentence out, that's how I've always written. Once I get that first sentence out of my head and on paper, then I write like a crazy man. Like I write very quickly, mistakes. I don't correct anything. I never hit the backspace, just go vomit on paper, and it's almost illegible. And then I'll put it aside. I don't want to look at it again. And while I'm going, I'll say insert fact, insert fact, insert fact, insert fact. Now I got to go back and find all the facts to support everything I just said. Sometimes I look and the facts are not what I thought they were going to say. So I've got to go back and change it or delete paragraphs or rework it. So that takes time. I mean, that's a multiple hour process of just writing the opening. While I'm writing it, I'm taking breaks as things pop in my head that I want to run down. Like, oh my gosh, I want to run down the crazy lady who lives over in Arrington, Tennessee, Lori Cardozo Moore, who's a freaking nutcase. My opinion, not yours, and not a fact certainly, but my opinion, she's a loon bat. And so I want to look up, where does she get her money? And so I go pull her tax returns and I start looking at that. And I think, well, where's she spending on? How much are they spending on? And so I'll just start, and then I make notes. Like I write notes on paper the old fashioned way. And then once I do that, I open a Google Doc and I do a run of show, like how I want to structure the show. It always starts with the open. So the open is also on a Google Doc and I link it into the run of show. So all I have to do is click it and it pops up on the screen. And then I'll do my open, and then I have either 1, 2, or 3 stories typically I'll cover, depending on how long I think they'll take. And then I'll put all my supporting documentation that I want to show on air, whether it's a video, timestamped, or whether it's a 990 form or some website, but I'll hyperlink those into the run of show. And then when I feel like I've got, a good show lined up that's worthy of people's time, then I will go back to the open and I'll edit it down a little bit, not perfectly, because as you'll see, I trip all over it when I do it live. Now maybe when my sister comes on board, I'll have more time to do that. But I will, I'll go down and edit it down. Now, if I get to the end of that and I've still got a couple hours, that's when I go to the emails and open it up and start looking through emails, get on X, look around, see what other people are talking about. And sometimes you change your mind 2 hours for a show and go, I don't want to go that way. And I'll work this open into this story. And so you switch and you cover a new story. Or what happens sometimes is I'll watch Candace. She usually goes an hour or two before I go. And then I'll look at it and be like, I got to follow up on that.
Yep.
So now I'm editing the run of show while my countdown's going on. That probably most famously happened when she showed the picture of the SUV and I saw all the fragmented plastic in the back while she was talking. And I thought it was an exploded mic. Like it sure
in that show. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever showed your audience what those Rode mics look like in person? I've got one. Hang on. I'll go grab it real quick.
Okay.
I've got one. And I'll show you why I'm so confident. Give me just a second.
Yep. And while he's doing that, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe. And we are going to get to your questions after we get done with my questions. So if you have, I see there's some that are being queued up. And Kelly Raybon is helping us out by getting all the questions organized. So make sure, huge shout out for her. Make sure you go follow her as well.
So this is the Go 3. I think he was wearing a Go 1, but this is the Go 3. But they look like this. This is a Rode wireless microphone. They're about 2 inches, 1.8 inches each way. And you'll notice the plastic on the front is shiny and the plastic on the back is flat. That is ABS plastic. It's the same plastic that they put in all basically electronic devices and everything else. And what he has is, and my clip is over there, but he has a magnetic clip. So the microphone stays under here like this, and the magnetic clip goes on the back. And these are really good microphones, really, really good microphones. And they record locally, and they record wherever you tell them to record at the same time. And it's just a fantastic piece of equipment. Everybody who does any content creation, if you ever think you might want to do content on the road, you need that microphone.
Yeah,
I think, or a DJI version of it, but I like this one better than the DJI. But it's high quality mic. I see why he uses it. I see why they had one on him, but I also see why if that thing exploded, it would have little broken, fragmented pieces of shiny and flat black plastic everywhere. And you could see it on the platform he was sitting on after you could clearly see it was not there before he went down. Afterwards, you could clearly see 2 or 3 pieces of that fragmented plastic where he was. You could see it all over the SUV where he was, as if they took the shirt off of him and it fell out onto the floor. And I've also seen additional photos from inside that SUV that were not shown on air because they're so horrifically bloody. And they are everywhere. That black plastic is, you can't tell me it's something else.
No, someone had a really good question about that, because I have shown it a few times when I was explaining certain things. But the thing that someone said is, with how much plastic is everywhere, could one mic that size really have created that much plastic? That was the big question. And I was thinking about it. I don't know. That's a good question, but there's definitely a lot that's obviously shown in a lot of places. So I agree.
Yeah, let me pull it back up.
I know Ian also talked about some like falling down, and you could see it in some of the video, right? You could see little pieces that appeared to be flying out in the video.
So you have a 2 by 2 inch on 2 sides. So that's 8 square inches of plastic. just on the sides here. That's 8 square inches of plastic just on the sides. Plus you have this plastic clip. Plus you have all this plastic here on all 4 sides, right? So all of this plastic together is like it would be like a 10 square inch piece of plastic if you broadened it out. So I mean, that's a lot. And I don't know. I mean, what else is it? You tell me what it is. Give me it again. If they don't like us saying it looks like an exploded mic, tell us what the hell it is. They have that option. But yeah, if you don't have this and you're a content creator, go get one. I mean, it's cheap. It's under $200. Get the whole set.
Yeah, I think they're great. The one he had also at some point, they had kind of a glass front. Like the shiny part in the front was actually almost like the old iPhones where they had like glass in the back as well.
Yeah.
And that, maybe that's what you saw inside the vehicle. Because some of it, to me, looked really shiny. And I know certain plastic, if you heat it up, it will get shinier as it gets hotter. Yeah. That could be a possibility too. But yeah. All right. So to change gears a little bit, we talked about some of the weird emails and things that we receive. But what is the most rewarding fan interaction that you've had from your podcast so far?
I've met a lot of really cool people doing this in the last few months. I've met people that I almost consider friends already that I've never actually talked to in person. And Brandy and Billy, I actually did meet in person. They came to the Middle Tennessee area and we met up I was in a hurry. My wife had to pick up our kids from a homeschool co-op. So we could only spend a few minutes with them, but we got to sit and chat for 30 minutes or so. That was very rewarding. Ian has been, very rewarding getting to know him better, have a good working relationship with him. That's great. Getting to know Candace, obviously, the way her mind works and the way her thought process works. But that's just obviously you, others. I mean, there's a lot of the creator side that's been very rewarding getting to talk to. I mean, the only reason people can see me is you. You fixed my camera and you didn't even, you kept saying essentially, hey, idiot, you have to fix this. And so finally I was like, fine. And I finally had a 20-minute, 30-minute window where I could pull up your video that you sent me and step by step through the settings and got that fixed. Fan side, like Daisy May, for example, people that are truly helpful, that truly have a good investigatory mind, they're rare. They're rare in life. And she is so sharp. I mean, you just ask her, hey, have you ever heard this? And boom, she'll find it. Allie Top File, same way. She's very good at tracking stuff down. She's helped me quite a bit. I'd say that's probably the most rewarding side. Now, from a personal, that's helping the show. All that's helping the show. From a personal perspective, when I read comments and people say, I went back to church for the first time in 20 years because I've been watching your show, I've been watching Candace, and you guys say how faith is important to you, and that's important to me. And it has brought me to tears, not on camera, because I try to be pretty straight on camera, but yeah, stoic. That's a good way to put it. But there've been times I've thought about why on earth, Lord, would you trust me with anything remotely resembling someone's salvation? I look at that and I think, wow, I can't even begin to contemplate that. And that is so, from a personal perspective, so rewarding. I mean, can you imagine when this is all said and done and everybody's gathered around, somebody walks up to you and says, I wouldn't be here, but I was watching you talk about Charlie Kirk and decided to go back to church, went to confession, started, what? That is just, eternity changing, not life changing. That's a decision that extends well beyond this mortal realm. So yeah, that's probably from a personal perspective by far. I mean, it doesn't get more rewarding than that.
So how do you typically handle burnout? I don't know if you've reached it yet.
What do you mean by that? I mean, I've burned out in every job I've ever had. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So for example, it sounds like you've been in radio for a long time and you enjoy having conversations and talking to people and teaching and all that stuff. Did you need some water?
No, sorry. My throat sucks, and I chew these things until they go away.
Oh yeah, the Manuka honey.
So good.
Are you getting sponsored? They should sponsor you, Manuka, if you're listening. Sponsor Baron.
Yeah, this brand is called Wetter Spoon, and it's only got good ingredients. It's organic cane sugar, organic Manuka honey, organic brown rice syrup, and then just some flavors, and then propolis powder. And it really does save my throat, keeps me going.
So one thing I don't really want to get too deep into this. Obviously, Wolves in Finance and Dankster. If you guys haven't checked out Dank, Dank has some awesome information, and he kind of took like the Wolves in Finance piece and kind of ran with it. And he has a lot of really good information. So make sure you check him out. He is Danks with an S on YouTube. He's also on X.
Don't watch him right now live. Don't go away from us to watch him. I've got my subscriber list up right now, and I see you're live and Danks is live. So don't switch. Stay with us.
But watch him after. Make sure you watch him after.
Yeah, go watch his replay because I'm not on today. You're gonna have plenty of time to watch him.
So now, as far as TPUSA finances go, some of the alleged fraud and different things people are talking about. I know it's a touchy subject, but how do you like? The more that we learn, you can't help but think that something sketchy might be going on. So, and obviously, if you're over the target and someone sends you a cease and desist, that can also inform. So, what are your thoughts on that in general? Just that the finances situation, or some of the other situations going on around TPUSA Faith and the actors that are involved.
So, I've been very clear about this, and I know it probably irritates some people when I say it. I was not a Charlie Kirk fan at the end. I remember liking Charlie Kirk when I was younger, 10 years ago or more. I remember really liking Charlie Kirk. I liked what he stood for. I liked his, just being around politics my whole life, essentially. I remember when he kind of came on the scene and was doing his college tours and putting material out. I really liked him because he appealed to the libertarian financial person in me. We all have this naivete that if the government would just spend less money, our lives would all improve drastically. And he sort of approached the world that way. I think it's pretty naive, but that was his approach. Let's just worry about the money and everything else will take care of itself. And I like that about him. And then I kind of quit paying attention to him for a while as my life got more complicated, more kids on board, jobs started taking more time. And then in the last 4 or 5 years, as I watched him, I would think every time he would speak, I was like, why, dude? Why are you such a shill for this globalist corporatist perspective? It's so different from the early Charlie Kirk. And so I started not really caring much for his presentation, what he had to say. But I still liked him as a person. I still respected him. I still respected his game. I just didn't particularly care for his positions at that point. And it was a noticeable shift. And that's why I, on my show, often go back and show old clips of Charlie so people can see the shift. What I'm learning now is the shift coincided with the arrival of Tyler Boyer and then later his wife. Yep. Because there were two seismic shifts in his life. One around 2015-16. That's when Tyler Boyer showed up. And another around 2018 to 2020. And that's when he met his wife and married her. And each time he took on a role well outside of the stated goals of TPUSA. Yeah, well outside of the stated goals of TPUSA. And so when I look at that, it's easy for me now. I never bothered to pull their taxes before. I never cared enough, frankly. But now I look back and I pull it and I think, oh, okay, I see what was going on. And I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine before he passed, but within 6 months before he passed. And this is a longtime political operative, and somebody who got involved in national politics, advised presidents and whatever. And they mentioned Charlie Kirk, and they were like, he has like 5 houses. And I was like, what are you talking about? He doesn't make that much money. They're like, I bet Charlie makes $10 million a year or more. And I was like, that's impossible. No way. And then after he passed, I start looking. I'm like, hell, he might have been making way more than $10 million a year. He was making seemed like over $1 million just from TPUSA, and I know he had all these side deals. And so I started thinking, money has a weird effect on people. It just does. You take someone who's who was sleeping on couches and making $25,000 a year at this nonprofit, and all of a sudden they're making 8 figures potentially per year, or at least 7 figures. And yeah, I mean, I could see him going along with some things that maybe didn't fit the original plan and purpose of TPUSA. And so that's kind of what I make of the money is I think there's a lot there. There's a lot that we probably won't know just by reviewing the public records because there was so much going on behind the scenes. I'm fascinated when Candace said that there was potentially an opportunity to get into some real estate.
Yeah.
What is that? You know, I think I've run down a few leads that have turned out to be dead ends, but as I was looking at them, I thought, ooh, there might be something here.
Well, it could be an Erica Kirk influence, right? Like maybe it's just something she was interested in and something she has experience in, supposedly. Maybe.
Well, I mean, she did supposedly either commercial or residential real estate in New York. I've seen no evidence she did other than the fact she said she did.
Yeah.
I've never seen her name on a deal. I'll say that.
Yeah. I think Wilson Finance and Danks are doing a great job covering all of that stuff for the most part. Obviously they're digging into it hard, but then there's a huge amount of people on X, especially like Diligent and Project Constitution and other people. There's a lot of people that are digging into this behind the scenes that typically you don't see their face, but thanks to everyone who's digging into all this stuff. Now this one is,
sorry, go ahead.
Are you okay on your end?
Yeah. I'm checking that somebody in the chat is who they say they are. Because I think somebody may be impersonating somebody. Go ahead.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, moderators, if you are out there, if you think that someone is acting incorrectly.
Oh, okay. Never mind. My sister's in the chat. All right.
Kick his sister. Okay.
Yeah. No, leave her in here. She's great.
All right. So now this is a controversial question. You can pass if you want. You can 100% pass on this question if you want to. Do you alleged, right? Do you think Charlie knew about what was going on within his corporation, within his company? Do you think that he was complacent in any of it? Do you think that he was hiding some of it? Do you think he was running from something? And just because the fact that he was out in the field and other people were like kind of gifted the company to run it, do you believe that these people that say that there's no way he could have known he's innocent and they were all playing him?
Yeah. I haven't come to a complete answer on that. I mean, I have. There are times I see things and I think there's just no way he couldn't have known.
Yeah.
You know, and if he knew, then there's potential culpability. So that happens sometimes. And then sometimes I look and I see things he said or did or things attributed to him, and I think they just did all this without his knowledge. You know, and I don't know which is right. I don't know that anybody can definitively say one way or the other at this point. But you know, I think, you know, just an opinion, looking at everything. I don't know this for sure, but looking at everything, I wouldn't run a nonprofit that way.
Yeah.
And I've advised nonprofits structured very similarly with a 501c3 that takes in big donations, you know, 7-figure donations, and then has a 501c4 on the side that does some political work. I've been involved in this. Like I've advised these. One of my mentors ran a company like this for a long time. A guy who mentored me in politics that I did a lot of work for on my way up. He ran an organization almost identical to that, 501c3 base. And that's where everything was sort of headquartered. And then a 501c4 on the side that would get involved in local races, get involved in statewide races, get involved in presidential politics. And yeah. So I would have never advised them to structure any. I would never have advised them to do half the stuff they were doing.
Yeah, I think something I'm seeing very common in some of my latest videos in the comments is people are saying, how could Charlie have not known about some of this stuff? So, and of course, you know, he's passed. You know, we're not talking bad about him. We're not indicating that he's a bad person or anything, but you just have to ask these questions. And that definitely has come up a lot. All right. So I know this is your day off. So this will be the last official interview question. Okay. And then we'll get to the live audience and their questions. Okay. I don't want to have you here all day. Do you believe that demons played a role in Charlie Kirk's demise? And do you think that TPUSA staff might be demonic or under the influence of demons?
So second question first. Yes, I do. I believe there's a demonic influence just crawling all over that place. Um, and I don't want to get in necessarily to why I think that right now, but I do believe that that the demonic influence is real in this realm, and that they love the political side because it has the ability to impact so many people.
Yes.
And I look at the people around him and I think this is classic. Like this is what it would look like. And so I to answer that question, yes. Do I believe Charlie was influenced? Was that your first question? Do I believe Charlie was influenced by demons?
Yes, Charlie Kirk directly.
I don't know. I'm gonna reserve that one because I don't know the answer, and I don't know that I even have a gut instinct either way that way right now.
True. Now we did a poll around this, and we said, "Is
Oh.
Erica Kirk a demon?" 82% say yes. 82%.
Sorry, girl.
That's
That's pretty stout. That may say more about our audience than her. Look, her eyes do weird things, man. Yeah, that their eyes do weird things. So there's a movie called Nefarious. Have you ever seen it?
no.
Watch it. It's on Netflix. I think it's still on Netflix. If you can watch Nefarious, do. The diocesan exorcist here in Nashville said it was the most realistic demonic movie he's ever seen. It is phenomenal. And it gives you an idea of this, what I'm talking about, meaning, demons can't take up residence in a holy soul. They can't take up residence in somebody in a state of grace. So, if you live a sinful lifestyle, if you eschew God, if you deny Christ, then your soul is open. It's like leaving the front door open to your house and going on vacation. Doesn't mean raccoons are going to move in, but they have license to be there. No one's stopping them. And I think that's what happens in and around not only TPUSA, but a lot of political action, a lot of political activity, because there is so much sin. I had no idea. When I was a kid and a young person, I had this idealistic, idealistic notion that people went into politics for the right reason and they were holy people and they just wanted to better mankind. And they agreed to take these pittances of salaries in order to affect the greater good. And they were public servants. They were sacrificing themselves. And then I started. Well, I think a lot do. And then I started working in politics and I realized, no, they're all crooks. They're all corrupt. They're all, trading on inside information. They're all, screwing around with everybody who will move and wiggle. Doesn't matter what they look like or what they're carrying between their jeans. It's a grotesque environment and an absolutely horrific environment. And it's like a satanic paradise. If you're a demon looking for a soul to light in, that you don't need to go far. Just go to a large political gathering, and there'll be plenty of people there to choose from. And I believe this, and based on the things I've seen that are pretty credible in and around Charlie, I think there was a lot of opportunity for the demonic influence to take up shop. And so I if you watch the movie Nefarious, you'll see that's kind of how the demonic realm works.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize things like Ouija boards and stuff like that open it up.
Portals.
Yeah.
Portals. You go consulting the dead, you've opened yourself up. Now doesn't mean everybody who uses a Ouija board is possessed by demons, but we've been advised pretty clearly, don't do this. Don't do this because you're not talking to Aunt Sue. Like if you go in search of Aunt Sue, you're not talking to Aunt Sue. I don't care if Aunt Sue through the medium tells you something only Aunt Sue would have known because only the two of you were paddling that canoe across the lake when she told you that. You know who else has perfect knowledge of everything that they overhear? Then they're not bound by time or space. So you ask this medium, tell me something. Well, the demon just goes and looks at the conversation and then recounts it to you through the medium. And now you've opened yourself up. You've engaged. So this is the Ouija board. This is psychics. This is, mediums, all these kinds of things. And I think it's terrifying. And people take it so lightly these days.
People are asking where they can see Nefarious. Is that on Netflix?
It was. I think it still is.
So for everyone in chat, while he's doing that, if you guys appreciate Baron here, type Baron in chat, show him some love. And we are going to get into the super chats and questions. We don't want to keep him here all day. It's his day off. We appreciate him being here.
Let me say one more thing about the demons real quick.
Yep.
I know not everybody is a believer in the demonic or the spiritual realm of it. So you'll get a lot of people who say, "Oh, don't talk about that. Don't talk." Actually, I don't see it on Netflix. You may have to check Prime. You may have to check other streaming sources. It's out there. It's somewhere. But it doesn't mean it's not real, for one. And just because you wouldn't be able to, put it in a State of the Union speech, just because you wouldn't be able to convict somebody in court, take it in front of a grand jury, doesn't mean it's not real. And it doesn't mean we can't talk about it. That's what I was talking about earlier. One of the things I like about podcasting as opposed to practicing law is I can just talk about things that I believe. I don't have to be bound by the federal rules of evidence. So I kind of dispatch with that notion that we should leave spiritual things out of the public discussion about what's going on in politics, because I think they're critical.
100%. I would agree. All right, we're going to start getting into the questions for Baron and Super Chat. And Kimberly Hawkins, thanks for becoming a channel member.
Is that Kimberly Hawkins from Alabama? I know a Kimberly Hawkins. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And Skeeter, thanks for the super. Let's see. Marty LaMartina. Baron, have you ever drifted away from the Catholic Church? If not, great. If so, why and when? And what brought you back? Are you familiar with Jeff Cavan's or Scott Hahn version conversions? Yeah,
I'm familiar with both of them. Very familiar with both of them. Drifted away from the Catholic Church, not in the sense that I stopped going. Did I have periods of my life where I was making pretty horrific decisions? Yeah. I mean, I think that's the growth trajectory of how we become better people, right? We make mistakes, we learn from them. It's the same thing your kids do. You wouldn't say they're drifting from being good kids just because they, sneak out of the house or drink a Miller Lite when they're 15 years old with their buddies. But you hope that they learn that that's not the way they're supposed to behave, and that they make better decisions. So I hope that answers your question.
Tom Neal, thanks for becoming a channel member. What does your hoodie say?
They all flew to Epstein's Island. This is available in the Brandy and Billy gift shop. You can go grab this hoodie. It's fantastic. They got great merch. They got a hat that says allegedly. I love it. I got to
make sure you guys go check them out. Brandy and Billy show on YouTube and other social media. They do an awesome job.
It lists all the people who flew to Epstein's, or lists a bunch of people. So it's a fun shirt.
I feel look familiar.
Yeah, a lot of them are familiar.
For a light for Baron.
I've got a light. I just got it. Like I said, I like those sultry.
Do you have the softbox? Like, do you have like the full?
That's what it looks like.
Okay, yeah. So you do have it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it looks good.
I was trying to find something. Yeah, it's diffused. I mean, it's and I've got some backlighting that hits the wall behind me. But yeah, it's I've got it turned down. It's on 16 right now. When I go live, or it's on 12, I think. When I go live, I put it on 6 or 5 even. So I do it much dimmer than you do. I had to crank it up because I looked like I was in a cave compared to your your beautiful studio lighting.
You give them the candlelight special.
Do what?
You give them the candlelight special.
That's right. That's right. Oh, we got to pull the Holy Bible out occasionally, and I got to have enough light to read it because people will pay me to read verses, which I always feel really weird about. I'm like, I don't know if I should be taking $10 to read John 4:3, but whatever. I do it.
Ivan is Ivan. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the super.
Ivan. He's great.
Just say Julie, what a treat watching on 2 platforms. Go Max. Thanks, guys. What's the second platform? YouTube, and what else? I'm curious. I know Rumble's starting to pick up a little bit.
Are we on Rumble as well? What else are you streaming to?
We're doing Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube.
Okay.
Hope Bean, thanks for the super. Giving you some love on behalf of Baron. We're staying warm. Aloha from Virginia, and God bless. Thank you very much. Pim, thanks for the super. Some very draconian hate speech and anti-protest laws about to be passed in Australia. We are cooked. Pray for us.
You need to move. Australia's cooked.
Let's see. Interesting. One sober Buckeye. Baron Coleman, are you under captured by feds? That's not a Adidas hoodie.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I was actually wearing just a t-shirt, and then I thought, no, I should put something warmer on. I was a little chilly.
Baron is a gift to us all, as are you, TriggerSmart. Stick together. Billy and Brandy and Billy show. Thanks for the super. Hey, friends, nice hoodie, Baron.
That's
little
right.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. $5 advertisement. You can't get better than that.
Are you guys going to be a radio station? Coach in the AM, TriggerSmart mid PM, then Candace, then Baron after.
I like that lineup. I'll be honest with you.
Let's see. I'm just going through some of these. Thanks for the membership. Do you have any comments on Blake Bednar's and what was going on with him, if you know about it? Some people are asking about it, but
yeah. So I didn't follow it that closely. I like Blake. I'll say that. Blake has been nothing but a pro to me. I just dropped another lozenge down on the ground.
He's been great in the investigation.
Yeah, Blake's been great, man. I like Blake. I don't hold people to their worst moments, and if he's had some moments he's not proud of, then I'm not going to hold him to that. I treat people how they treat me, and I take them for what they are now. If I had a notion that he was somehow being dishonest or dishonorable today, then I would hold that potentially against him. I don't. I've found him nothing but kind, very professional every time I've talked to him. And again, the things that I saw that came out were more than a decade old. I mean, I'm not judging somebody by what they were 10 years ago. That prohibits growth, and it rules somebody out because of a mistake they've made 10 years ago. I'm not going to do that. So I wish he wouldn't have gone away. I wish he would have just stood up and done a 10-minute video feed and pinned it to the top of his YouTube and said, hey, I've done a lot of things in my life I'm not proud of. You only know of a few of them. But you know what? I'm a better man today than I was then, and I hope you'll judge me accordingly. And then he kept doing what he's doing.
100%. And just real quick, moment of silence.
I got a cape. I'm like Erica.
There's no Adidas though. I was trying to get Adidas on there, but it wasn't working. That's all right.
That's all right. We'll allow it.
Limit Breaker. Thanks for the super. Glad I could catch one of your lives. It's great having Baron on. I still think the actions and reactions on the video give us a lot of info, especially when we add what we know now. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Allie Top Files. How's it going, Allie? Love the hoodie, Billy and Brandy merch. When is Cup of Joe merch coming? Amazing live, guys.
Working on it. My sister is going to be tasked with figuring all that out. I just don't have time to deal with it right now. And I know there are a lot of people in my chat that are in emails that are like, oh, I'll handle the merch for you. I'll just have her do it. Like, we're going to get her up to speed. She's very sharp. She's very smart, very funny. I'll get her up to speed, and she'll be spinning like a top in no time, and we'll get all that going.
Yeah, and if you do a spring or fourth wall or something similar, it integrates directly with YouTube, makes it super easy to manage all that stuff. So
yeah. We'll make it work.
Ivan is Ivan, another super chat. What? Coach for morning coffee, Baron and Matt for lunch, man crush overload. Thank goodness for Brandy and Billy.
See, I didn't know people knew your real name. I've always referred to you as TriggerSmart, even though your phone betrayed what your real name was when you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get both. I get Trigger Daddy the other day. Is interesting.
Oh, wow. What was her name? No, just kidding.
Let's see. Do you ask Candace if she ever met Charlie Kirk's family?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay. We'll skip that one too then for the same reason. Stefano Hamam. Thanks for the super. Baron retired from his day job just in time. Lots of Zionist judges. Hardy har har. Hey, Baron, where's John Coleman? What's up with Jason Goodman? And we talked about Blake B already.
Yeah, I asked John. I mean, I asked Jason directly, where's John? And he gave me enough that I know John is safe and alive. But I don't want to betray any of the rest of that conversation. John's fine. John will reappear probably at some point. He's disappeared before.
J-Can, thanks for the super. Baron, you're not in Adidas. Gary Blink at Blake Neff Speed for help.
I'm good. I'm good. I just wanted to show off Brandy and Billy merch.
Who's in the room with you?
Yeah.
I think Brandy and Billy have some really good design skill. I actually liked a lot of their stuff, and that allegedly, that's I'm gonna have to pick some up for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do XL. Jody, thanks for the super. Brit here, but now know more about U.S. politics than my own since CK. Hope we worldwide can get justice for Charlie. Do you think that will ever happen? Go Max.
I don't know.
It's a tough one.
We'll keep going. I know that.
Texas Gal Sophia, appreciate you reading comments. It keeps it communal. Legendary Scott Adams passed away, and I was looking for a high IQ podcast club. Found a great group. Candace, Colin, Baron, Chris, Brandy, and Billy. Awesome.
Yeah. Good crew. You've landed, lady. You've landed. I'm sorry it takes 6 of us to replace the great Scott Adams.
Yeah. And Malloy says, Baron, what do your kids and wife think about you being home more now, but now in your office most of the day?
I've been home for years. I've been working at home since 2000. Since January of 2001 or 21. January 2021. So I've been home since I went off air on the radio.
I started with COVID.
Yeah. Well, I was working for a company based out of Boston, and we did have a local office where I was living, but no one really went in, maybe once or twice a week. So a couple days a week I would go in. But most of the time I worked from home. And then when I changed jobs to a company headquartered here locally where I am, again, I would go in a couple of 3 days a week at first. And then when I broke my ankle in May of 22, I couldn't get up and down our stairs at the office, and I really couldn't get out of the house. So I just would work from this office where I am now more often. And I just kept that schedule, and I was only going to the office once every month or two there at the end.
Was that a CrossFit injury?
Yeah, I fell off a rope.
Yeah. Being a badass, you hurt yourself. I know how it goes.
It happened. It happened.
I got to know what Baron was looking at when he was describing the picture someone could hypothetically have.
I just looking, girl. I look at things.
3 African Violet. My issue with calling Erica a demon is that it gives us permission to forget that humans can be horrible all on their own.
Yeah, they can. But I would challenge the theological basis for that and say that, humans are born open to demonic influence, and it's the power of Christ that frees us from that bondage. And so the fact that humans can be horrible all on their own is the problem. It's what Jesus came to save us from.
Well, I guess technically, would you say that atheists are under the influence, or possibly under the influence of, the devil and demons, even if they don't believe in God and that whole thing? Is that
certainly can be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what Jesus was saying when he talked about freeing us from sin and bondage and sin and death. That if you are not in Christ, you are open to being influenced or occupied. And the more influenced and occupied that you are, the more likely you are to then laugh at Christianity, view it as folly and ignorance and all that. And so, I take a lot of pity on people when they laugh and, oh, you're so foolish, you're superstitious, you believe in the big, man in the sky. I look at the person like that and I get sad. I'm like, man, I hate this for you. Like, you could be set free from that reality, but can't make them, obviously.
So we have Moon Goddess. Thanks for being a member as well. Baron, what do you think of the audio analysis by Matt? I think they're talking about the Audio Freak episode I had where he basically the range day bro position is one that works.
Yeah. So you and I, or I guess maybe Audio Freak, I don't put a lot of stock into the audio analysis, like the crack thump or the crack boom analysis, whatever you want to call it. And the reason is because particularly mobile phone technology is not designed to capture that stuff in real time and preserve it with tremendous fidelity. And when you're talking milliseconds, you know, the difference between 812 milliseconds and 732 milliseconds is going to put somebody in a drastically different position. I look at that and think, man, the iPhone was never designed for that. That's not the purpose of an iPhone. The purpose of an iPhone is to roughly capture about what happened, all kinds of microprocessing errors that could take place that could put somebody potentially in a far different position. And the range day, bro, if I recall, that was over behind the staircase to his 4 o'clock. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no gunshot from there. I'm sorry. There's just none.
And I saw those.
I've seen the video from behind. There's no gunshot from there.
Yeah. And line of sight, right? From that building, he'd have to shoot through the building based on the position he said it was. And
I think you'd have to shoot through the tent.
Yeah. And in some of on the very top roof, you'd have to be shooting through the edge of the tent for sure.
Right. So I just don't put a lot of stock into audio analysis of that stuff.
I don't give a damn. Thanks for the super. Everything is a conspiracy, allegedly. Ben Shapiro being a lawyer less than a year, Zionist camps before World War I, Tyler Robinson, Epstein blackmail, COINTELPRO, Northwood CIA, cocaine, and Tuskegee syphilis.
I want to do a show on the Tuskegee syphilis thing one time. When I used to teach medical law and ethics, and I did a whole class every year on the Tuskegee syphilis, every semester rather, because there's a 1 semester class, so I teach it twice a year. It is so shocking, so unbelievably shocking what happened in Tuskegee, Alabama. In fact, that's one of the reasons I have Booker T. Washington on my wall right here behind me. He's from Tuskegee, or not from, but he basically built the Tuskegee Institute from the ground up. He's an extremely brilliant man, and basically, in the face of all odds, accomplished something nobody believed could be possible, which is plant in segregated Alabama, right in the Black Belt, plant an institution of higher learning and start putting out extremely highly educated African Americans at the time of the most racist, like literally the most racist time since slavery ended in the United States, you know. And what happened in that town where that great success story happened, then the federal government comes in and runs a syphilis study that starts before penicillin is invented. And so you think, well, maybe they just wanted to know, right? I mean, penicillin wasn't invented at that time. Maybe they just wanted to know the natural course of syphilis in a human being. But then, like 4 years into the study, penicillin's invented and it can cure syphilis in an hour, like in a week. And they don't give it to them. They withhold it from them and let it continue to develop for decades in these people. And that's not even the worst part. I don't know what they call you, Matt or Trigger, now that I know people know your name. That's not even the worst part. The worst part is they continued writing about it publicly in medical journals that the highest IQ people in America supposedly were reading. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, they're devastating an entire community with syphilis. Great. Okay. Well, that's how it develops over the course of decades. Isn't that interesting? Well, we don't need to know how it develops over decades. We have a cure, and it's literally like 40 cents. You know, just give them the cure. And they wouldn't do it. And I think it so I got to, well, I'll do it. I'll do a show on it one day.
Well, and he gave us peanut butter too, didn't he?
No, that's Booker T. Washington. I mean, that's George Washington Carver. That's different.
Okay. Yeah, I got them mixed up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Did Candace show you the video from behind?
Yeah.
EK could save on air travel and just use her broom.
To me, that's the most devastating attack on her is that she's flying around on a Gulfstream 5. That's so devastating.
Yeah.
There are so many cheaper ways to fly, including coach. It's not like she has to be anywhere so time sensitive that she couldn't fly coach. I mean, maybe go first class, girl. I don't know, but you're not that famous. Like, no, you get on she could go to the local Target where I live and maybe one person in there would know who she was. If she would just dress down a little bit and not look like she does and not wear a cape and, 60 bracelets on each hand and 15 rings on each finger. If she just dressed down and looked normal, like a normal person, she could walk into the Target here and almost no one would know who she was. It's not like getting on a plane would be dangerous.
Cash Money Kells, thanks for the super. On behalf of the jury, thank you for helping Baron with his camera. Now, I want to make it clear that he fixed it himself. I just gave him some links that showed him how to do it because I have the same camera.
He's being humble. I tried to fix it myself and it still looked like crap.
William, thanks for the super. Why are you all avoiding the only angle left after ruling out the others? That a 5.728 was rigged on the ground under the podium with a mechanical trigger. This shot is coming in hunting and clean. So you're talking about shooting through the chair and his legs and stuff going up into his neck, possibly with a 5.7.
Where's the exit wound? I mean, wouldn't that round create an exit wound?
5.720. Yeah, I mean it's armor piercing, even though it's a pistol round. Yeah,
right. There's an exit wound coming. I mean, guys, he wasn't shot in the chest. It didn't hit a rib and slow down, and then hit another rib on the backside and slow down even more. He was shot in the soft tissue, allegedly, on the side of his neck. If that hole was a bullet, it was a soft tissue round on the edge of his neck. You're talking 2 inches. Well, ladies, 6 inches. That's all we're talking about. I mean, it would just go right through it. So I just discount that entirely. I cannot believe he was shot.
Let's see. Jesus with a I can't pronounce that, whatever that is. But thanks for the super chat. Watching and supporting you both from Cape Town, South Africa. There's a lot of people in South Africa that watch these podcasts, believe it or not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thanks for fighting for the truth. Your army behind you, and Charlie's impact is international. Sato Gaming, thanks for the super. BH, Brian Harple on Paramount Tactical in prep for events. Brian Harple asks, can we have amplified sound? Why would security team need to ask that?
Yeah, I would ask even beyond that, why was one of the speakers not plugged in? Because in video footage and still footage, there's one of the speakers was not plugged in, and I'm very curious about that. And it had a device on the side of it. Allie Top Files, actually, who was in the comments a moment ago, identified and tracked down the device that was on the side of that speaker. Again, doing yeoman's work out there. This is a decentralized investigation. These are just average citizens out there with very curious minds saying, what the hell is that on the side of the speaker? And then I send that speaker to a friend of mine who you and I talked about before the show, who's very highly qualified. And he looks, he goes, and I said, what is this on the side? I've got a friend of mine who says she thinks she knows what it is. And he confirmed exactly the make and model of what it was on the side because he knows everything. And he said, oh, and by the way, that speaker's not plugged in. I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, look, it's not plugged in. I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. It has a cord coming out of it. He's like, that's not a plug. He's like, the plug port is not occupied. He's like, what were they doing with that speaker that it wasn't plugged in? I was like, I don't know.
So it had mic cables, but no power. Is that what he's saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it had a device on the side of it. So there's so much that needs to be investigated, but where's the time? Where's the time? And these are questions that they should be answering.
Ferguson, thanks for the super. Hi, Baron and TriggerSmart, the live cast. Stephen Godwin, do you guys feel like CK Invest is losing momentum with everything else? Oh, investigation going on with ICE, Iran, Greenland, etc. Just seems no new leads.
No, I don't think. Go ahead. Go ahead. Your show.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I mean, the problem is that all these things are equally important in the world, but like you said, you don't have as much time to do everything, and a lot of people will kind of find a niche and go on that for a while. There's still a ton of people that are looking into Charlie Kirk stuff every day.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of new stuff coming out on the Charlie Kirk investigation. It's maturing and it's developing. Now, what they counted on, I believe, if I'm right about this, what they counted on was that people would lose interest within days. Unfortunately, it's been months for them, and we're still very interested in it. And so we're uncovering things they never anticipated. They thought, I truly believe, because I was shocked with how much coverage it got. I was shocked when I turned on ABC News the day he passed, and they broke into their coverage for wall-to-wall, non-commercial interrupted coverage of the Charlie Kirk death. I don't think they anticipated that was going to happen. I don't think they anticipated that it would be a national news story for weeks. And I don't think they anticipated that a ragtag group of podcasters would still be investigating this for hours a day, 4+ months later, uncovering things about the way TPUSA's operated, uncovering things about the timeline, FARA registrations, 990 abuses, potentially, allegedly. And it would be super easy to just say, oh yeah, I got shot in the neck by a 30-06. Everybody go, okay, yeah, and move on with life. So no, I don't think it's losing steam at all.
Victoria Marie, thanks for the super chat. Former lawyer, licensed attorney plus legal commentator / media personality, more like.
No, I'm still licensed in 3 states. I actually still have active cases that precede, that are years old, that I'm still, at least tangentially involved in. So yeah, I still very much licensed. I still have to pay the fees every year. I still have to do the CLE credits every year that take all the time. I don't, I made a decision years ago. I would never represent somebody I met through media, like a listener. And I've held to that for the most part.
And of course, make sure you guys go follow Baron on all of his different social medias, especially YouTube and Rumble, and also on Spotify. Stephen Dixon, thanks for the super chat. Great seeing 2 high IQ dudes chatting so calmly. Hi to William Coleman too.
If that's Stephen Dixon, I think I know who he's talking to.
Edib girl? Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for the super chat.
That's Edie Beatty girl. She's from the Bronx. That's Edie Bronx girl, but I call her Edie Beatty girl because that's
okay. That's easier. Edie Beatty girl. What a treat watching you guys midday. There's strength in numbers, and these times particularly benefit from podcasters such as you, Candace, Ian, etc. Breeze Music Gift. Thanks for the super. Thanks for becoming a member. Lindsay Gabriel. Baron, I love your shout out to Zach Bryan last night. Check out his new song, Bad News. It hits in the gut.
Yeah, my 19-year-old turned me on to Zach Bryan several years ago, and she and I went to a Zach Bryan concert. She's been to several. She and I went to a Zach Bryan concert, and there's something about live music that just gets me every time. I love it. This concert we went to, it had Dominic Fike, it had Cage the Elephant, Zach Bryan. I was in heaven. And I really fell in love with Zach Bryan that weekend. It was great.
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. William, thanks for the super. Baron, look up Digi Sandis if you want a good rabbit hole with regards to your strange ice. Have you heard of that before?
Nope. Looking it up right now. Digi Sandis.
Never heard of that.
Ionosondes that use pulse signals can gather. I don't know what all that means. I'll look at it.
Interesting. Yep. Sunshine, thanks for the super. I live in Sweden, and fire on snow, it melts and did not smell. Something is wrong with your snow. Hi, Baron.
I agree. Something's wrong with our snow. It's not melting. I'm telling you, I put it on a plate and there was still ice on the plate when I got home 2 hours later. That is not normal. And it wasn't, it was just that thick. It wasn't like I put a 12-inch chunk. It wasn't like I put a 12-inch chunk in there, ladies. I'm talking like it was just, looked like a Waffle House steak.
If TPUSA is supposed to be non-political for tax reasons, why are they sending out 47 hats or bracelets instead of 47 hats?
All good questions for the commissioner of the IRS and the Treasury Secretary.
Let's see. Look at this one. Happy 20 year call. Straight up. Do you know
your dog or my dog barking? I hear it in my ears.
That's mine. I'm guessing the kids are going to be home shortly, or they're outside. Let's see.
Let your kids in, Matt. Come on.
their mom's up there.
Oh, yeah. I said, don't make them kick the door in.
We can wait. Hey, TriggerSmart, thank you for all your work. I predicted when Baron started his first show on CK that he was archetypally selected to be a conduit. Then he blew up. Would Baron let me interview him on my theory?
Only if you spell my name right.
There's 3 R's.
Yeah. There's no E or I can assure you. I don't know. I'm kind of choosy about who I do interviews with just because my time is so sacred. I like you a lot, and you've been so helpful to me getting going, getting started. And I like your style, and I love watching your show. So when you asked, I was like, of course, 100%.
Let's see. I don't give a damn. Thanks for another super. Couldn't he travel with the team to the next site in private and then buy a flight home closer to the break? Crazy dancer calves with high blood pressure all life.
Yeah, I mean he could, but if so if that was the case, if that was the plan, show me where he's ever done that before. Happy to look to it. Happy to evaluate it.
We're gonna have a dog here for a minute. You guys are gonna have to be patient with us.
I can barely hear him in my ears. I don't know. For those that don't know me personally, I'm pretty deaf, and so my in-ear monitors are cranked to the gills when I do a show, and so I'm probably hearing things in the background that normal people can't hear. May not be going out to everyone else.
Let's see. Emma Lloyd, thanks for the super. Harpo Flood, confirmed fired or let go. Why is Flood promoted? Thoughts? My thoughts are you both rock. Have you heard anything about that? About if they actually are employed or not anymore?
According to Candace, she heard Dan Flood had actually been promoted and gotten a raise. I don't know where Brian Harpole is. I don't know if he's still working there or not. I don't believe he is, based on information I've gotten, but I can't confirm that.
I also saw something that said that Dan Flood might also be back in the Secret Service again.
No, so, I don't believe it. I don't. Was he ever?
That's what I mean. That's on his resume. I think that was pulled off from someone doing some AI searches and found his resume said something about that.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm just filtering out the questions that aren't.
No, that's fine. Yeah. I got to run in 25 minutes.
All right, cool. We'll start.
I can
Yep, we'll go a little bit faster here. Kimberly Hawkins, thanks for the super. Love to hear from Charlie's only sister. How can we make this happen? Anyone close? Brandy and Billy, maybe? Would be great to get their opinions.
I think Brandy and Billy would be great to talk to people like her sister. Don't forget Erica Kirk has an estranged older sister as well, who's probably 20 years older than she is. I think if I reached out to her, I don't think it would get as good a reception as if someone like Brandy and Billy reached out to her. They're Erica's stepmom, Erica's stepsister. I mean, all these people I think would be very valuable, and I could see being willing to talk either off the record or on background. But, I doubt they would go on the record. But I think these people should be approached. I don't think I'm the one to make that approach.
Tammy Stevens, thanks for the super. Aside from Colorado, which we already know, was their security preparedness done for anything beyond that stop? So, like, we know they didn't have one for the next day, but have you heard anything about past that?
I have not. I've not seen any travel arrangements past that.
Victoria Marie, you can see Charlie's arm go up as he's being hovered by security. Someone says it was Dan lifting Charlie's arm, but in slow mode, it looks like Charlie's signaling for help. Can you confirm?
I've seen the same video, but I don't know what was going on back there. You know what video would be nice to see beyond just the 4 seconds Candace has is that camera, which it might be why that camera angle is not around. I mean, that would settle a lot of conspiracies about what went on behind the table.
William, thanks for the super. This is my last clue. The plastic was from the chair seat. You should explore Skull and Bones to Scottish Rite to Mormon Church to American Wireless LLC.
Okay, I appreciate the advice on what to investigate. Oh, the chair seat, I don't think that plastic was from the chair seat. I mean, the chair looked unmolested when it went down.
Agreed. My new FY sister, huge fan. Love you guys. Go Max. Kristen, thank you. Annie Randall, email, man an Egyptian plane window. Okay, yeah, we know that one. Sent receipts on superfeed harvesting data for Eric Schmidt drones. Schmidt best sent to unlock $200 million martyr fund for merger using the Heaven Tour, I guess the new one, to fire data bridge for Project Eagle drones. So I think this email went out maybe this morning or last night, connecting all these different software entities, I guess. I think that's what this is talking about, maybe.
I have to look at it. I haven't seen that. I've really done nothing work-related today.
Which is good.
I kicked around my family for a little bit, sat on the couch, texted back and forth to you about doing this show, obviously, and then went to the gym with my wife and then came home and jumped on the live stream with you. You got to have downtime.
100%. Danny has receipts. Thanks for the super. I was not prepared for this collab. What color is Baron wearing? And are we sure we want to be inside his mind? Love you, Baron.
That's a good question. I'm not sure anybody wants to be inside my mind. I don't know what I would call this color. It's a shade of blue of some sort. I really like it. It's very comfortable, very soft. Great hoodie.
Let's see. Dog Nose. Do you both fear being smeared by the club?
Oh, there's plenty to smear me with if they want to. You know, I've addressed, I think, publicly everything that's gone on in my past. You could, you know, you could take the Pope and smear him for things done in his past. You know, Mother Teresa has been smeared, so that just means you're doing good work if the club is smearing you.
And it comes with the territory. If you're in the public eye, that's
Yeah, I've been smeared a lot, and I've had organized media hits smear me when I've gotten over the target. When I was involved in the Speaker of the House investigation in Alabama and the Attorney General investigation, I got smeared a lot. So people Google too deeply, they'll see, you know, news hits that try to make me look like a lunatic. And the reality is it was me doing investigative work like I'm doing now. And the people who don't like what you have to say, they try to smear you.
Sticky Icky Liberty. Just Watch is a great site to find out where and what apps and movies are streaming on. Thanks for sharing that.
Maybe I can find out where Nefarious is streaming.
Fighting MECFS. Thanks for the super. After CK, would love to see you deep dive into Fauci. That actually would be an interesting one. The egregious mishandling has some curious parallels to Tuskegee or Tuskegee. Why did I say that? Tuskegee?
Tuskegee.
Okay.
So about Fauci, a lot of you guys may not know this. I worked almost exclusively in HIV law for about 4 years, 5 years. And I've hated Fauci longer than all of you have even known who he was. I mean, that guy is such a monster in the HIV world. Just in my opinion, responsible for the deaths of millions of people globally, with his horrific HIV theory and thesis. So I'm looking at Nefarious right now. It's on Prime Video. It's on Hoopla for free. It's on Fandango Home with ads, or Fandango Home Premium without ads. Apple TV for a small fee. It's everywhere. I mean, Pluto has it for free. Plex has it for free. Oh, no, Pluto with ads, Plex for free. So go, you know, plenty of places to find it. Nefarious is a phenomenal movie.
Let's see. George Webb, thoughts? He is calling y'all out.
I don't understand this. I don't understand George Webb's calling me out. I had a friendly text exchange with him where he was trying to get some production done locally here in Middle Tennessee and asked if I would sit for an interview with somebody. All I did was ask, what are we going to talk about? Like, what is it you need? He encouraged me to travel to some meeting he was having. I can't travel right now. Like I have a family, I have a home life, and I can't travel for, you know, just on a drop of the hat with almost no notice. So I declined. And if he's calling me out, I have no idea what he's calling me out about. And I've always liked George. That's the thing is I've never disliked him. I've always thought he does good work. I've not agreed with everything he's concluded over the years, but I've agreed with a lot of what he's concluded over the years. So I don't understand why he would call me out. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's the same thing with Gary from Paramount when he started calling me out. I'm like, what are you doing? I like you. I watched your stuff. He had great shooting videos back in the day. I really enjoyed watching his interviews. I don't understand why he was weird all of a sudden. Like I try to be everybody's friend. It doesn't mean you and I are going to agree on everything, but I'll always like you, you know?
Well, it's very strange infighting, almost like it's created from scratch.
Yeah.
All right. I know we just have a few more minutes here. So everyone, make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you go over and check out Baron on his various different social medias. And it is at Real Baron Podcast. Is it that everywhere? Or are some of them also Baron Coleman?
The only one that's still Real Baron Podcast, I think, is YouTube. You see, YouTube was Baron Coleman. Someone recommended I change it to Real Baron Podcast to match the name of the show. So I did. And then I went and I opened Spotify and Locals and Rumble and everything, and X as Baron Coleman. And actually, X was Real Baron Pod. I lost Baron Coleman from X about 5 years ago after January 6th. And I've been begging to have it back for years. They finally give it back to me. I'm now Baron Coleman on X. And then all of a sudden, I go to YouTube to try to get Baron Coleman again, and someone grabbed it. And they got like 2 subscribers. And I'm not paying for it. Like I would take it back, but I'm not paying somebody for it. I'll just be Real Baron Podcast at YouTube, and everything else will be Baron Coleman. Actually, though, I think Instagram might be Real Baron Podcast.
All right, so we'll do our last 3 questions, and then we'll let you get out of here and enjoy your day off. We appreciate you being here. If you guys
Yeah.
appreciate Baron here, put Baron down in the chat. Show him some love. Sean Hedman, why was the FBI involved initially, but no longer? And that could also include the Lance Twig stuff, right? He had protection, now he doesn't.
I think the FBI is still involved, but it's not an FBI case. It was a Utah resident who traveled entirely within Utah to allegedly plan and commit the crime and traveled back home entirely in Utah. He never crossed state borders. So it's not a federal case. It's a state case. It's a state murder. They don't have jurisdiction, in other words. And so, it was a private citizen who happened to be in Utah. So it's a state case. I think the FBI was providing some support. Potentially, the FBI was providing some misdirection and trying to box in the investigation and prevent certain avenues from being explored. Joe Kent, for example, who I have great respect for. Joe Kent allegedly was trying to look at a foreign angle and was blocked, which is shocking to me since he's the director of the Counterterrorism Center. I think you would let
Blocked
him
by-
have a little leeway, right?
Blocked by Kash Patel. Yeah.
Allegedly.
I thought it was official. I saw news reports and stuff on it, but
I'm saying allegedly because I don't want to make an enemy of the FBI director.
well, allegedly that's what the report says. So
There's like 20 people on earth you never want to make an enemy of, right? FBI director's high on that list.
Janelle, thanks for the super chat. Have you given up on the bomb dog? If they paved over the grass, wouldn't they remove the surface, then pave it? So somewhere in Orem is a discarded pile of evidence.
Yeah, we don't know where that discarded pile of evidence is. And I've not given up on the bomb dog, but I could not find. I did search for a long time. I called a lot of people. I really tried to make this happen. I was going to fly out there, had the financing lined up for it, so it wasn't a financial issue. I was willing to commit about $3,000 total to the effort for my travel, get a hotel, do it in a day, get out there, 2 nights, 1 day, get out there, spend a whole day on the ground with the bomb dog. But I could not find a bomb dog that would fit my budget. So I kind of scrapped the whole idea.
I didn't know you could rent a bomb dog.
You can. They've got sniffers. But the problem is, and I don't know if they were just trying to hose me because they didn't want to do it or they whatever, but the only bomb dog I could find that was willing to do it was out of state and the travel costs were exorbitant. So
all right, and this will be our last question or our last super. Aaron T. Party, thanks for the super chat. Great lives, dudes. Thanks for all you do. Love the sweatshirt, Baron. Sad you're not wearing your raw beef colored one, though. No, Max. And they said also, who are Billy and Brandy? So let me see if I can.
Yeah, Billy and Brandy are a new podcast. They've started here in the last few months, and they do good work. They have a very keen investigatory mind. They like to work sources. They like to do on the ground things. They haven't put out a ton of content. But the stuff they put out is pretty good, and they'll get obviously sharper with time. Everybody does who broadcasts. It's like driving a race car. You might have a lot of raw natural talent, but you're probably a little rough around the edges when you first get in the seat. But as you develop some seat time and some practice in a race car, you get in the simulator. Which I have a racing simulator at my house. It's amazing, by the way. It's I always tell people it's as much fun as you can have with clothes on. But it's absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend anybody who has too much extra time on their hands, get a racing simulator, put it in your bedroom and have a lot of fun.
All right, everyone, we appreciate you being here. Baron, obviously, thanks for taking time out of your day off to come hang out with me and the audience. And obviously, we'll be seeing a lot of big things from you. Did you have a final thought for everyone before we go?
No, I mean, the audience is my audience, your audience, Coach's audience, Candace's audience. That's what keeps this going. That's what keeps this going. These super chats that are coming in are more than just a way to be seen on the screen. They are what prevents you from being limited to CBS's take and Ben Shapiro's take. Like those people have their funding. They will never be off the air. But if our audience is dry up, then we're off the air. And if we go off the air, then you're stuck with what they have to say. So not only are these audiences becoming a great place to exchange ideas, get new information, and just have a community, a sense of community, which I think is
we are in dire need of an actual sense of community in the 21st century. But it also allows, by liking, sharing, subscribing, the occasional super chat, joining membership pages, getting a little extra inside content, it allows us to continue to do this. And so I encourage people, if you like TriggerSmart and you like the content he puts out, throw him a membership, throw him a super chat every now and then. You know, maybe skip McDonald's and throw him $10, because that's what allows you to continue to stay on the air on a regular basis and continue producing great content. You do great stuff.
All right, and with that, with those wise words, we'll see you on the next one. Thanks everyone.
Thanks,